This is Watch It Talks podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
And I am actually just a guest. I am King, also known as Finale. Invited here by this guy right here. I don't know what his nickname is.
I'm just Kevin, man.
Kev
the killer.
Kev Singer.
The singer.
He sings, he gets the panties moist.
Yo.
Yeah. After I scare them away, he gets them back in the room.
That's it.
Get him in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm just playing. I made that up.
Yeah, so welcome to another video. So and podcast, we have a special guest, as he mentioned. So we're gonna be talking about conspiracies, and he is known to be expertise on that. So he's gonna enlighten us
a lot of
today.
positive things about you, bro. About it, so
I'm not self-proclaiming anything.
So we're joined with Carlos and Milos, ready to take in some information. Kevin hooked us up with this guest, really special guest, and we're gonna kick things off with a soft question about conspiracies. But before that, can you let us know how you and Kevin met and your background? What do you do?
Well, I mean, what I do, that depends. I'll say how we met. I trained his sister for a few years.
Oh, okay.
And then she brought him in when he was, shot that big and tall.
Yep.
And now you see him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, one of the things I do is train, coach, instruct.
Nice.
And orator, actuator, creator, artist. I do a lot, done a lot, but I ask the questions that most people don't ask.
Oh, okay.
And I want people to know. I like to know. I want to know. Right. I want to know.
Yeah.
So everything I look at, I question it. I don't care what it is. Why is that water called this? And then I research where the water's coming from. I want to know everything because you don't know anything. What are you doing?
Okay.
I don't care about the new sneaker that dropped or too much. I can't take that to the grave with me. But, what am I doing here? What are we doing here? Why are we here?
Mm-hmm.
What's the purpose other than making money and paying bills?
Okay. Yeah. So would you say that growing up, the school system was something that you were already thinking, having that mentality, what are we learning here?
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah. I got kicked out of class all the time.
Okay.
They put me in the bad kids section because I would ask the teacher, I'm like, why do I need to know about paramecium if I'm not going to be a biologist?
Mm-hmm.
You teaching me stuff that who remembers PEMDAS? You don't need to know algebra to tip your waiter, to everyday bills. You don't need this stuff. And then we got calculators. So if I'm not going to be a rocket scientist, if I'm not going to be a mathematician, if I'm not going to be something that's related to this, why am I learning it? We have learned so much in school that we don't use on day-to-day life.
That's right.
And never will. And what the school doesn't teach us is stuff that we can use. How to balance your checkbook, how to invest, how to build your credit, how to make day-to-day decisions, good decisions, right? They don't teach us that because that's not what the school system is made for. And rolling off of this, we might go into our first discussion, but I did a whole thing about the school system and how it was created and why it was created. And if people did their history, they'll see. Making a long story short so we could have fun talking about a lot of stuff, the school system was created for the Industrial Revolution. It was literally created just for worker ants. That's why you're supposed to be in school 8 hours, right? A work hour day used to be 8 hours. Now, right, in school you get homework, and nowadays people's works, what do? They bring their work home. It's just teaching you how to be a worker ant, that's it. And because the Industrial Revolution, you had assembly lines, all right, so got an assembly room. And then what do you have at class? You sit at a desk. You went to office, you sit at a desk. And then you go from one class to the next, and then this class, and then this class. It's an assembly line, like you're at work. It's teaching you to be as a worker ant, not teaching you how to be the CEO, the guy who owns the corporation, the enterprise, or something like that. It's teaching you how just go find a Monopoly board. That's all it is. Teaching you how to just be a piece on a Monopoly board. Go around, buy some stuff, get your check, go around, pay some taxes, maybe go to jail, pay for parking, get lucky, collect your check, buy some stuff, go around, Monopoly board, go to the hospital, Monopoly board, the board game is literally how society is operated.
So you don't like Monopoly?
I love it. I love
Oh,
Monopoly.
dude, he's no cap. He's a beast at Monopoly, bro.
My favorite is Ghetto-opoly.
Yeah,
I have a
that
Ghetto
is
Monopoly
dope.
game when it first came out, the original. So it has Harlem, it has Compton, it has crack rocks, it has hookers.
Yeah, dude, it's actually pretty cool. I'm
But
not
look,
gonna lie.
Look, Monopoly will teach you there's three type of people. There's three type of people that play Monopoly. You guys play Monopoly?
Yeah, we.
All right.
Yeah, hell yeah.
To Monopoly.
Okay, now you should know this then. There's three types of people. You got the person who pays and buys everything they land on. They whore their money out, right? Right? Then you got the person that is frugal and saves and doesn't buy anything because they just want Park Place and Boardwalk. They want the most expensive pieces. Then you got the one that strategizes. You do have your times where the person that strategizes loses, right? But most of the time, the third person, that one wins. The one that blows all the money in the beginning and buys all these properties, he can't get Monopoly because there was no strategy. He's just buying anything he can land on. And now he's broke when somebody else gets a Monopoly. Then you got the one that's frugal. He has enough money to pay the strategist. He saved up just to buy the most expensive piece, and now the strategist has this corner locked down. He's looking to see who's landing on what the most. If you guys play enough, you can tell. I know which land I land on a lot. If I'm playing a game, it's always different.
Yeah.
If I land on that land twice, that's the land I'm gunning for. Because then that means I'm going to be paying someone else.
Right.
So you watch the pieces. You're watching to see who lands on what, and you buy that, right? Now, he got enough money because he saved to buy these two lands that he loves because he's fixed on it, or she. And now he has enough money to pay you. So he's in the game the longest. And then sometimes when people hate that you win all the time, like people hate playing with me because he's like, you always win. They team up with me. They don't make this person pay the bill. They're like, oh, I'll give you a pass. And then they'll do trades. They won't trade with me. and
Tell me why that's Hugo, though.
huh?
Tell me why that's Hugo.
Which one?
Yeah, bro. When he starts teaming up, he's like, I know how to lose, but not like this.
Yo.
Like they cut deals. They won't cut a deal with you. Like, listen, I'll give you this land for this. Like, no, you don't need any more land. You're already winning. Crabs in a bucket. That's society.
Yeah.
You will take me down with the ship because the ship is your ship that's going down. So you're going to try to take me down with it. And it's your friend.
Worst of all, it's your friend.
It's even worse. It's your homie. Or your lady. It's your homie. It's your partner that's trying to take you down that doesn't want to see you win. You're supposed to have my back.
That's right.
Oh, but it's only a game. Nah, but the game bring the realness out of people.
Oh yeah.
Watch each other when y'all playing.
It's a roachy.
Hey, Monopoly blog coming soon?
No. Yeah, how to play Monopoly.
Bro,
How to treat society as a Monopoly game.
we gotta play Monopoly against you.
Yeah, the ghetto one.
The ghetto.
Oh, damn.
So
That'd be fun.
if you buy it off of Amazon right now, it's not the official one. Like it's gonna be hard to get the official one. Like that came out in like 2001.
Wow.
So I got the very first one, but they got sued because they didn't have the rights. So there's some bootleg ones out there, but I got the official one. Like it's falling apart, you know. It's been around since 2001, it's shredded. But I still love all the pieces. But it's hilarious, man. It's hilarious. You get jumped, you get robbed.
That's crazy.
You buy hookers, you go to the strip club. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's literally the hood. Yeah, it's the hood. You got strip clubs. People jack your wheels. Got to pay money because Julio took your tires. That's the game. Yeah.
I'm guessing you were in school whenever the 9/11 happened, or not yet.
Oh no, I was out of school earlier because I got kicked out.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't in school, but I still wasn't fully out of the system mentally. So I was sold on the idea of what happened.
I have a question. So when was it that you got in this like enlightenment and like started actually researching and actually started opening up your eyes?
Okay, well, I always had something open because I always asked the question.
Right.
Like I always looked at space and I'm like, what if? And what's more? Like I always dabbled into it. And I was getting kicked out of class because I'm like, teach, why do I need to know this? Like I asked the question, like, what am I doing here? Like, if I want to play football, I should be learning how to play football. I should be learning this and maybe learning how to invest my money in real estate or something, right? Because I'm making millions, hopefully, right? So why am I learning this? I don't need to. I mean, I have never, ever, ever used an amoeba in my life. Why do I need to know about an amoeba right now? Like, it just, like, I'm not a biologist. So, so going back to, I can't tell you when. I always had the question, okay? But let me answer his,
my bad.
his thing. I was sold that it was, them that they did it. They. I can't say that, right? That means something different now, right? So I was sold on that.
Uh-huh.
So I had the anger. I had that every time I saw somebody that looked Middle Eastern, the cab drivers, like, I was in the hood then, so it was, any cab driver was getting it. The local bodega, they were getting it. Like, they had to lock down early. They wouldn't let people in the stores because, it's this is America. Like, now you're coming together. You're like, America, like, you attacked me. I was down there that night, that morning. I was at the World Trade Center at 4 a.m., being a maniac like I used to be, and then I go back home and I wake up to that. At first, I didn't know what I was looking at because I saw the first tower was already down. Then I saw the plane hit the second tower, and then I watched that one burn and go down. This is before I was into stuff, but this is before I would look at. I would never watch the news. Didn't question as much as I did. But then, and your question is what exactly? Are you asking me, is it an inside job or is it legit what they said it was?
Was it legit?
Yeah, was it legit?
Was it legit?
A legit inside job. So it's legit. No, so you hear all the conspiracies, right? What are some that you guys heard?
That somebody was in the plane and they set up a bomb, and so the plane exploded before hitting the towers. Or actually, no, that the tower had bombs already in them, and they started to go off.
Well, you can see that. You can see that in the videos.
Yeah.
You can see it. Demolition.
Yeah.
So to substantiate that, right? Mm-hmm. You got to have proof, right? You can't just say, "All right, it was this," right? So okay, you can look at the footage and you can see the explosions happening early. Then look at the way they demolish buildings. Okay.
So it's at the basement. Well, let's start from the.
To do this, that's demolition. That's how they take buildings down. It went down clean, right?
Yeah.
So people that were down there heard bombs go off on building 7 before the plane even hit. Like the timing was off. That's a real big operation that they got to run, right? So it's human. The human condition is not precise. So somebody messed up, right? Like somebody screwed up, but whatever. Let's even go past all that, all right? Because I like to ask the question, and I want to be objective, okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to battle the conspiracy with an argument, but you'll see that at the end of the day, the proof is the proof, all right? Like it's proof there that look, this was staged. When they put the World Trade Center up, right, the original Twin Towers, it was built specifically to be able to take a 747 jet hit. Specifically. It was built for that. Right?
Yeah.
So the steel beams were meant to take a certain temperature. Jet fuel is not going to burn that hot. They built it to be able to take the impact of a 747. Those weren't 747s. So if it hit, I don't remember which floor, this is eons ago at this point.
Yeah.
How would it crumble all the way down that way? It would melt it if it did, and it would just collapse that top building. It wouldn't fall like that. That is strategically planned to collapse that way, right?
Yeah.
But now let's go a step further. You don't see any windows on these planes. Let's go a step further. I don't know about you guys, but I fly a lot. All right. And maybe because I have dexterity or wherever from training, I don't want to hear it. All right. You got hundreds of people on the plane and you're telling me that you're going to let a couple people with plastic. Well, I don't care if he has a real knife. You got bodies. All right. You have the carts. You have a marshal. You have luggage. Somebody got a pen. There are weapons on that plane. And there's bodies on that plane. You're telling me that nobody is going to take down this dude who has maybe a real knife? That's it?
Yeah.
But now let's go a step further. And then I'm going to get into some real stuff, right? But let's go a step further. The average project in New York, a project building, has cameras. The local bodega has cameras. And our Pentagon, which is the center of defense, has no footage of a plane hitting it. Not one. You're supposed to be the center of defense. There's supposed to be cameras everywhere. Where's the footage? You just showed me the aftermath. And then if you look at how they cover their trails, what part of the Pentagon did they blow up? What part of it did they blow up? Where the records for the Treasury was. And the day before, dude said there's like X amount of trillions unaccounted for. And then they blow up that section. There was no plane parts left. So I know people that lost people in 9/11. And it's a sensitive topic to people who lost people in 9/11. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't ask the question. Right. And don't be blind to it. Like, don't get a prejudice towards a group of people, which at the end of the day, this may sound harsh, but they are in caves on camelback. They're not worried about us. We're the ones that's over there. They're not over here. I mean, you poking them now, they're over here, you allow some of them in, but at the end of the day, we're going over there to their turf. All right, poking around in their stuff, right? So I'm going to digress and go back to some real hard stuff. So I have an ex-Air Force buddy who was flying a jet during 9/11. And he was running a practice routine, right? You know, some Top Gun.
Yeah.
They hate when you make Top Gun references. Like a real fighter pilot hates when you make a Top Gun reference. Maybe Maverick is cool, but the original Top Gun, they hate that. Yeah. But that's why I said it, because if he does see this, he's going to text me like, oh, you son of a-" So he was flying, and they were doing a practice run, right? They were doing a routine, and they saw the blip, and it was off course. Okay, you got to remember, the cockpit is in touch with the tower the whole time. So the flight that hits 9/11 is leaving Boston. It's supposed to go to California. And it makes a detour down the Hudson River. That whole time it is going off course. You think the tower is not in touch with, right? So he was actually on his way to go gun down and go check that out. And he was told to stand down. It is a simulation.
Oh, shit.
Now, if you ask anybody who is ex-military, not that just went to boot camp, that went to a military school, I mean that served in a war, they will tell you that they love their country, but they hate their government. Anybody who has actually fought in a war is going to say they love their country, but hate their government. Yeah. Not somebody who just went to boot camp or was stationed in Germany for a little while or was in the Navy, but they were just on a boat in Japan. No, that actually went in and had their boots on the ground or were dropping bombs, like fought. They will tell you they love their country, they hate their government. And that's what they fight for, is the country. Mm-hmm. So, and he's told me a couple other things too, like we were discussing, like Sandy Hook and crisis actors and things like that. But like he was saying, he was on his way and they told him stand down. It's a simulation. So, that's hearing it from somebody who is in a jet day of.
Yeah.
I don't. You can't. There's no proof that they can say on the other side that it was a couple people from a certain part of the plane that went over there. Like, come on, really? Like, really? Really? And again, I want to see some footage of a plane hitting the Pentagon. Show me one. One footage. One. You're telling me no bodega, no deli, no store, no street camera caught the plane doing none. So let's just ask the question. People are scared to ask a question, man. They're scared to ask.
Or they just believe what they see on the news and they stop asking. Like, they don't even think about even questioning it because they believe what Fox News says. It's Fox News.
Now, those are the ones that are just completely in a sleep. They're on NyQuil. They're done. Or Dayquil. Like, they're tapped out. They're tapped out. But I see a lot more people that they don't even think the question, actually. Because what are they worried about? They're worried about maybe going to happy hour, going on their date that they met on Tinder or something. Like, they're just worried about the day-to-day existence.
Yeah.
I mean, and get it. Not everybody's gonna be like us.
Right.
I can't be satisfied with the did existence. I need to know. If this is a simulation, I want to know. And I know I can't do nothing about it if I do find out. If I do find the answers, it's just going to be vindicating for me. And then I could try to,
Spread the word.
spread it. Yeah, but I mean, how much can I do? Like, if you found, let's just say for sake of argument, right? You found out this was a simulation. Just entertain the thought. What can you do other than kill yourself to get out? Like, how you wouldn't even know how you could break out.
Yeah.
I mean, you could try things, maybe go take some ayahuasca, and for that moment you broke out. But like, at the end of the day, how do you like? There is like the road doesn't end.
Yeah.
So I know people that I've had conversations with, and they're like, you know what? It's just easier to just follow suit
I think it's more of like a fear thing. They don't want to know.
and comfortability.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
convenient to just be. What we do is not convenient. What I do is not convenient. I don't know about you guys, but with me, it's not convenient. It is an uphill battle in fucking mud. Can I curse? I'm sorry.
You're good. Yeah.
All right, it's an uphill battle. I don't know. 'Cause I do things different places, and like I can't. So I got to make sure.
Yeah.
It's an uphill battle in mud. I know that for me it is, and not everybody is built to deal with that. I'm sorry, I call it weakness, but it is what it is.
So on that note, I know a lot of people. Well, like you said, they teach you stuff in school, and one of the biggest things that like really people don't even question is the shape of the Earth. What are your thoughts about that?
I have this conversation a lot, and I just had this conversation with one of my boys who has recently. I don't like to call him or even people flat earthers because you're questioning the shape. Doesn't mean you have to be segregated into it's like you're not allowed to. Like I see people looking at people that believe the earth is flat, like they got 3 heads and they're idiots. Like they got the dunce hat on. But they're asking the question. What's the problem with that? You're not asking it. You're just looking at just because they told you it was round. You're like, it is because they taught you that.
Yeah.
Like I give credit to the people that are asking the question over the people that just believe whatever they've been taught, right? So you're asking me again, what do I have to say about the people that believe it's round or the people that believe it's flat?
Well, in your opinion, do you believe it's round or flat or infinite?
Okay,
What do you think?
I don't believe
This is gonna be
anything.
good.
Okay.
I don't. It's just one thumb. So my guy didn't win. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, he got to retire after this. Anyways, okay. So I don't. I tend to not believe in much. I don't believe something, right? Because I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
What I do is seek, all right? And I try to put the pieces together. That's what I do. So for me to say I believe it is round, hey, guess what? It can be flat and round. So it's not if it's round or flat. It's if it's a globe or is it a plane? Okay. So if I'm giving these 2 things, right? I'm going to start asking logical questions. And I've had this conversation with aeronautical engineers. I've had this question I've had this conversation with a lot of different people, right? I like to be objective. I'm not going to tell somebody, it is flat, it is round, it is a globe, it is this. I can't tell you that. I did not leave the atmosphere to tell you that there is a space. I can tell you what they tell me. I can tell you what I've been taught, but I asked the question. Okay, so being objective. For the Globetrotters, all right? What they got to say, how do you explain satellites? How do you explain GPS? They have certain arguments, right? How do you explain solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, things like that, right? How do you explain asteroids? How do you explain meteorites? They have arguments. That's okay. And the flat earthers, they have their arguments. Okay. So where I stand is here. If it is a globe and there's gravity, You can't apply the same, which they try to do. They try to shun flat earthers out like, oh, if the earth is flat, you can't have gravity. Well, who says that a flat earth has the same,
Concept.
the same concepts,
Yeah.
the same science as a globe, okay? Like, who says it has to have gravity? Then it's like, well, how are you staying on the ground? Okay, so listen, I hear all the arguments, but here I come in with the questions. And I'm going to ask you guys the questions, your listeners the questions. Yes. That's all I'm doing. I'm not telling you if it's round. I'm not telling you if it's shaped like a diamond. I can give a fuck what it's shaped like. It doesn't matter. I see. I don't care. Like, we could be a motherboard on somebody's fucking computer, like, and it has no shape. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to know. All right. Do I think it is a globe spinning at what they say it is? Do I think it's what they are saying it is now? No, I don't, because they keep changing it. And we have enough ancient civilization knowledge and artifacts and designs. Like, if you look at the azimuthal equidistant map, azimuthal equidistant map, you will see that it is the logo. The logo for the UN uses that map. Why would they use that? See, I'm just gonna ask the questions. I look at the logo of the UN, the United Nations, okay? That's like the world logo, the world's flag, all right? The world's flag is the azimuthal equidistant map, which is a map for the flat earth. Why would they use that? So I'm just gonna ask the questions. That's it. I'm not saying it's flat. I'm not saying it's a globe. So I ask the questions. You take a globe. They tell you it is spinning 1,000 miles an hour a day, 60,000 miles an hour around the sun. So it's doing all this spinning. Okay, fine. Okay, all right. Yet the North Star is in the same place every night. And we're supposed to be changing positions and spinning. Okay, all right. Earth has gravity. Okay. Why? Because of this. Okay. Now, I had a conversation with a physicist. All right? I ask questions. I'm not sitting here to teach him. I go in and I act dumb. I like to act dumb because that's how you learn.
Yeah,
People like to express their knowledge. So I'm going to play stupid so you can teach me something. So I said, why do we have gravity? How do you know it's gravity? You know where gravity was created, right?
By Newton?
Because he saw an apple fall.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it was created. So I'm not saying me. I'm saying me, meaning I'm talking in general. Like, we're supposed to just take, there's gravity because this guy said he saw an apple fall and said something pulled it. Okay. All right. So they did a test. NASA did a test, right? In their deoxygenated chamber where they suck the oxygen out to replicate space. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. They dropped a bowling ball from like 2 or 3 stories up and a feather. They sucked the atmosphere out of it. So this is very important. They sucked the atmosphere out of this chamber, and then they dropped this bowling ball and this feather from the crane. Which one do you think hit the ground first? It's not a trick question. Naturally, what would you say hit the ground first? Because it's heavier, right?
Yeah.
No. They both floated down. Okay. So you're telling me that there's gravity on Earth, but because they sucked the atmosphere out of this chamber, it eliminated the gravity that's on Earth? So anti-gravity is sucking the atmosphere out of a section? The chamber is still on Earth. It should not be affected by the atmosphere in the chamber. Gravity should still be working. I asked this physicist, I said, I have a question about gravity. I said, if gravity pulls down, how come there's still dust floating in the air? I'm just asking the questions. That is a logical question. Dust should be on the floor, not floating in the air. Why does smoke rise? It's denser than air. It should be pulled down. He's like, why are you not in my class? This is the greatest question I ever heard.
So he didn't answer?
You want to know what he said?
What are you saying?
They don't got an answer. It's called the Browning theory. They just have a theory. They don't have an answer for it. They don't know why the dust is floating around. I'm just asking, look, you're giving me the tools. I'm seeing if they work. That's it. So I'm not going to tell you we're a globe and we're spinning and there's gravity. I'm going to tell you that what they're telling me and us, it doesn't add up. You sucked the atmosphere out of a chamber, therefore you eliminated gravity on Earth. There's gravity pulling everybody down, but dust is floating and smoke rises. I'm just asking the questions, that's it. And that's just a bare minimum of them. I have millions others when it comes to this topic. But if we're going to get into the shape of Earth, you have to get into the properties of Earth. All right, fine. The two famous ones are globe and flat. What about hollow Earth? What about the ancients that had Agartha and the world within the world? There's diagrams and there's artwork from ancient civilizations that talk about the world within the world. And then Terra Infinita. Okay, airplane. It's called an airplane, right? What is a plane? Anybody know what the definition of a plane is? Yeah. So if Earth was a globe, why is it not called an air globe? The plane is in the air flying over a plane. Airplane. A plane is a flat level. Just asking the questions, that's it. I'm not saying it's flat. How come the plane does not account for the curvature of the Earth when it's flying? You never feel the nose dip. Okay, I have a real good one. This is a real good question, and I asked this to an aeronautical engineer who works on planes, right? I said, hey, sir, we're friends, all right? But when we get into this discussion, because he's, at the end of the day, he's very knowledgeable, but he's still incubated knowledge. Remember, he is being taught this is what it is, so his knowledge doesn't extend outside the book and the rules.
Yeah.
He's applying the rules to that. He can't break out and think logically, right? So I said, listen, if Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour due east, you guys are following me, right? Due east, all right? Because that's what it is. That's why the sun rises on the east, sets on the west. We're spinning 1,000 miles going east. Okay. 1,000 miles an hour. If I'm in a plane flying east, right? Let's say I'm leaving California and I want to fly to New York. The plane is going, do you guys know how fast roughly a regular airline jet goes? It's somewhere in the 400s, right? Okay, so plane is going 400 and something miles per hour. You know, let's speed it up. It's going 600. But Earth is moving 1,000 miles an hour. It's moving 400 miles an hour faster than you. How are you going to reach your land? How does that work? I mean, why are you flying towards California from New York? Why don't you just hover and wait for Earth to rotate at 1,000 miles an hour to where you are? If it's going 1,000 miles east and you're flying west at 400, you should make it to your destination mighty quick. Then you look at the flight patterns. And the flight patterns, that really raises the question on, you know, what we're on.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? Because if you look at the flight patterns, it's wild. If you see the connection flights and then I know the arguments. They follow the jet streams. Like I know the arguments on both sides. But I just raised the questions for both sides. You ask a flat earther, how do you explain meteorites? They're gonna say, oh, it's missiles. Like, this is why I'm not neither. I am asking the questions and I am seeking. That's it. It can be hollow. It can be shaped like a baseball field. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But what you're telling me is a lie. And at least the flat earthers are questioning. Albeit, to me, in my opinion, it's not the right questions. Because they base their foundation is on the Bible. And that's where they lose me. That's where they lose me at that part. They lose me at, you know, it's not so much as the dome. They lose me at the firmament, the waters, and then just God. But you're basing your knowledge off of a book that was written after many other books were written. Like you need something more sound than that. And you know that the Bible was altered numerous times. So to me, you need something more. Like that's just a cop-out because they don't have an answer. And they're done. They found a comfortable thing to believe in. A lot of people want to be comfortable. And they don't want to feel like they don't know. Like everybody wants to know. Like I'm right. Like, listen, I'm just asking the questions. I'm not sitting there telling you what it is, but I'm going to ask the questions. You know, how come this and how come that? If you were driving, right? Okay, let's say all of us, no, we're not driving. All of us are on top of a train, right? We're on top of the train, and the train is going 100 miles per hour, and we jump straight up. Are we gonna end where we jumped?
No.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So if Earth is moving at 1,000 miles per hour, if I jump, why do I end up in the same place? I mean, the ground is moving, right? I mean, I should end up 1,000 feet down the street or something. If everything is supposed to be moving east. So if I jump straight up, you're telling me that I'm like a foosball table, like I'm stuck on a rod or something? So if I jump, I automatically am like in the air moving with it?
Yeah.
So if I'm in my car going 60 miles per hour, I'm going 1,060 miles per hour, right? It just doesn't... The waters are still... You got water. I got water in this bottle. What happens when I'm spinning it not even 1 mile per hour and it's wishing around? Our waters in the seas, if you're telling me it's 1,000 miles an hour, like, we should always have winds moving 1,000 miles an hour. There should always be wind. It should be like a constant hurricane because everything is... Now I've had these conversations with people that are like in school with it and this. They can't logically answer it. They try to answer it with what the book says. You know, they can't logically answer it. They can't really explain it. They give the answer that the book that they're learning gives them. Mm-hmm. But you could ask anybody about the gyroscope in a plane. It doesn't account for the curvature. And air pilots that ask that question, they end up getting fired. And then they end up getting fired, and then they tell them that they had a breakdown and they had to see a psychiatrist because they asked the right question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just say, if you think it's a globe, ask why you think it's a globe. If you think it's flat, ask why you think it's flat. My boy thinks, one of my good friends thinks it's flat because, you know, the questions they asked, he felt comfortable. But you lose me, again, maybe there's aliens, maybe there isn't. But just because the Earth is flat doesn't mean there's no space. Like, to them, there's no space, there's no aliens. Okay, all right, well, look, I don't know if there's a space. But at least with space and a globe Earth, it's an endless universe with possibilities of other life. But on their version of a flat Earth and a dome, we are literally in a fishbowl in water, endless, with nothing else. That doesn't make any sense. That's a waste of a lot of space. As I said earlier, what are we, in God's bathtub? Like, what is going on?
Oh, yeah.
No, because if it's Earth and then it's the firmament, water, God, and that's just us.
Yeah.
Endless water and just us in this bubble. That, it seems like a lot of waste of talent to make a bubble with us in it and just water around us. So the thing is maybe it is. Maybe it is flat. Maybe we're in a bubble. Maybe there's other bubbles. But it's still globe. It's still a bubble. Like, if we're in a bubble, then that means it's round, and a three-dimensional sphere is a globe, right? So everybody's right.
So what do you think about, like, the possibility of the dome and then Antarctica being the wall?
Ooh.
Like, there could be something beyond Antarctica,
So now you're going into Terra Infinita.
basically.
That's Terra Infinita, which a lot of people haven't heard that phrase. They just know flat Earth and then dome.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a dome, this is where they confuse me, right? If there's a dome after the ice plateau, then how are there other lands? Okay, Admiral Byrd said he crossed the plateau. Okay, Admiral Byrd crossed the plateau. But here's where it gets confusing with a lot of the flat earthers. They keep using Admiral Byrd. Again, I'm not slamming anybody, right? I'm just like, if you're going to ask the question, if you're going to believe it, then do your homework for real and connect the dots. They use Admiral Byrd as proof that the earth is flat. Admiral Byrd also pretty much said they got it running with aliens. And I mean aliens, I mean not from our section. Because if we're here in this ice wall and beyond the ice wall, there's other lands, then they could be from those other lands. It makes them aliens, right? Like, I mean, not just crossing the
Unknown,
border.
yeah,
Yeah, they're from another section from our section, right? He followed his naval crew, they followed the fleeting Nazis down to the Antarctica and got their ass kicked. And he comes back and says that they had technology that was just unmatched. They had these, their aircraft was zipping, like what we see today in UFOs, right? Mm-hmm. Back then. Okay. So basically, aliens. Because who had that technology back then?
Yeah.
All right. It has to be aliens. All right. But then you're saying that if Earth is flat, there's no aliens. Your guy, Admiral Byrd, who said that there was a dome, he also said that there was more land after he crossed the plateau. He said there was uncharted lands the size of America that has, you know, all the things that we need, the oils and the ores and everything. So what is it? I mean, this goes into Terra Infinita, where you have, let's say it's us, and then we have our waters, and then we have Antarctica keeps us separated. Cross the plateau, waters, more land for them, and then it keeps going in all avenues, and everybody is just inside their little. That's Terra Infinita.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And then this also explains what flat earthers, when they like to use the stars, when they zoom into the stars, and you see this new video out now about God's hand touching the star. Have you seen this one?
No.
Oh yeah, I want to throw my phone when I see it because they attach themselves to after the waters above, it's God, right? So there's a video, and you see when you zoom into a star, it kind of looks like a cell, like it's like a water bubble kind of. It's shimmering, right? And you see this hand.
Oh, you know what? I've seen it on
Right?
TikTok. Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah.
It's TikTok. How do you take anything serious on TikTok? How do you take anything serious on social media with AI, with computer animation? It's TikTok.
Yeah.
That's your scope of evidence. Okay. Terra Infinita is as above, so below. Now that's a big thing. That goes back. It goes from the Bible. It goes past the Bible, right? You even got Eddie Griffin, who was he was trying to
the pyramids,
as above, so below, right? And that's what I said in the car, right? Look, you got the Giza. What is that mirroring? The three kings in the sky, Orion's belt, right? It's mirroring. If you look at the moon and you look at the shadow part of the moon, right? If you look at our side that we see, it looks like the shadow, the grayer part. It looks like it mimics the land masses here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another thing to question. As above, so below. Everything that's here is mirroring everything that's up there. Like it's just so. Terra Infinita is okay. You have this, and then you have this section with their ice wall. This section, and all those stars is just mirroring. It's just like, and then they come out with movies, and that's a whole other topic. Movies are documentaries. Oh, yeah. They will take you to church. They will take you to school. Movies, it's got to be influenced. Everything is influenced. You wouldn't know something. If I say a word to you that you never heard of before, you would have never known to look it up. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't even have been a figment, a thought in your mind. You would have no inkling about it. So you have to be influenced. Right. There has to be an influence for you to have an idea. You wouldn't have an idea to have a podcast if podcasts were never related, never created. Never created. You wouldn't know. Yeah. Right. So, that's when I love going to movies because I'm like, okay, what you gonna teach me today? Yeah. And when you're making a movie, I write, I create. Like I said, one of the things I do is I create, right? And I love movies. I do movie reviews too. I do fight choreography. I do all types of stuff, right? I love movies. I'm studying. I'm watching these movies, and I'm like, hey, what you gonna show me? And you create something like that. You put something into it. Everything in there has meaning. Mm-hmm. That address on that house means something to that director. The writer put him to wear those clothes. Freddy Krueger is wearing that color, those stripes, for a reason. Because they know what those colors do to the human mind, the psyche. Everything serves a purpose. It's not happenstance. It's on purpose. It's not a mistake. It's not coincidence, especially if it's on TV. Stop the games. But I wasn't there for Admiral Byrd. I didn't see it. Yeah. But I want to go to Antarctica. That is the first place I want to go.
Yeah, because of the government doing that treaty that
that's up.
Independent explorers can go.
I think it's up in 2042 or 43, and of course they're gonna.
A few more years, bro.
Listen, again, it can be flat, it can be a globe, it can be hollow, it can be infinite. But it all could be assimilation. It could all be assimilation. Like, it could be all types of stuff, but ask the questions and then go down the rabbit holes. But what I do, and that's why when you said something, I don't believe it's anything particularly one. Otherwise, I'm going to basically put myself and bottleneck myself into one belief, and I'm never going to keep on learning.
Yeah.
If I stop and say, oh, I got it figured out, there's a bunch of knowledge out there that I'm missing. And just because I clinged on to a belief doesn't mean it's right. Does not mean that this is the one. So I can't believe in something wholeheartedly. I got to keep going. I got to keep going. I got to keep going. I got to keep learning. I want to go to Antarctica. And not the $10,000 cruise or trip that you can go and they take me to some little island off of Chile and say that's Antarctica. How do you know where you are when you go fly somewhere? How do you know where you are on the map? This is the questions I ask. I look at the map. I look at the map of America. I look at all the grids and outlines. Who the fuck charted that? All those little nooks and crannies of every single outline of the landmass. You telling me it really does all this? Who charted that? How do you know where you are flying over and where you are on this plane of existence? Because you're looking at a map that they produced and they're telling you you are here. Okay, well, guess what? The Earth was flat, and then it became round a little over 500 years ago. Then, now, it's shaped like a pear. A little more fatter, but so slightly that it still looks like a perfect sphere. What? Hold the fuck up. You just told me it's shaped like a pear. It's wider at the waist, the equator, because it's spinning, so it's fatter. But ever so slightly that it still looks like a perfect sphere. That sentence makes no fucking sense. It's pear-shaped. But ever so slightly, it looks like a perfect sphere. You know what? You guys know that Africa is 10 times bigger now, right? You don't know what it looks like. You see, when you walked into the class, all you saw was that globe.
Yeah.
You have an idea. You have an idea. An idea that was theirs. That's it. That's it. But they changed the size of Africa now. They changed the size of Australia. Now Australia is the size of America.
What? Really?
Yes.
Oh shit. I mean,
It stretches. Africa is huge now.
Damn.
But if you look at maps before, speaking of which, in Vermont, we were talking before, in Vermont, because we're talking about Africa, in their main strip in Burlington, they have Earth's landmass, everything but Africa, on the floor. Like, they have it in tiles, like in bricks and stuff for design. They have every continent but Africa.
What?
It's pretty fucked up.
Damn. That is fucked up.
So you go out there, it's like
Shit, now I want to go see.
It's like Nicolas Cage National Treasure.
Oh shit.
The way it's set up.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. Like 5 o'clock sun, the shadow points here. Like it's crazy. So one of my guys is out there and he was putting me on. He was like, you gotta see how this is laid out, the layout of this place. The Masonic building's right there, the FBI building's right there, and the Moose Lounge is right there, and this and that, and this country's facing here, and the church is there, and when the sun hits here, I'm like, what is National Treasure? It's like, we gonna find some treasure today?
Yo,
Can we go stand over there when the sun hit the dial hits there? Like something gonna open up?
that would be crazy.
Yeah, so whether you believe it's a globe or not, let's ask yourself why.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just why. Why? And we all could be wrong. And this could be, again, a simulation, which is the most fucking crappiest thought. But I studied it, and I went in down the rabbit hole. And there's enough movies that basically are telling you, yeah, we're in a simulation. There's movies that tell us that we're on a flat plane, too.
Yeah.
It's in movies. Okay. Universal.
Yeah.
The company.
The company.
They had their logo of the Earth spinning and being a globe before we saw it for the first time from space, NASA. How was that?
Wait, what?
Universal's logo of Earth.
Yeah, so
rotating,
it was spinning, yeah.
They had that before we saw NASA got to space and took their first photo of Earth to know that it was like that.
What? That doesn't make sense.
MGM. You know MGM,
Yeah.
right? You know the lion?
Yeah.
Oh, MGM. Yeah.
Yeah. They know the roar?
Yeah.
It's not the lion roar. Most people wouldn't know that. That's a tiger's roar. Most of the cat roars you hear in a movie is done from a tiger. Lions don't go rawr like that. They just go, ooh. It doesn't sound good for TV. So they use a tiger, that rev, that rawr, like that growl. That's a tiger roar. Everybody thinks they know what a lion sounds like.
Oh shit.
Predictive programming, people. That is another rabbit hole you should go down.
You heard it here first. Lion King was a lie.
Lion King was meant for you to want to have sex.
Yo.
Most Disney movies were.
Yeah.
I got a question. All right. Hopefully you don't get offended.
Me?
Well, yeah.
First off, let me say this: I cannot be offended.
All right. Is there anything you believe in? No, it's like a legit question, right?
Actually, that's a good question.
Yeah, like
I believe that everybody should ask questions.
I mean,
I believe that everybody should think freely. I believe that people should care about their health. I believe that people care about things that don't matter. I believe that people's opinions are not facts and feelings. There's things I do believe in. But if you're asking me on a higher scale, like specific things, ask me a specific thing. Like give me an example.
like in science that they teach you that everything's made out of atoms.
Oh, I wouldn't know. I can't argue that it is or isn't. But speaking of that, if everything's made out of atoms, atoms are what? I mean, I have one on the tattoo on my back. Atoms are supposed to be everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything. Okay. So, an atom is 90% empty. So how do we have
So
solid stuff? I ask the questions. That's all. I'm going to ask the questions. I'm not going to argue and say there's no atoms because I can't prove that there is or there isn't. There's things I can't prove. Like I'm not going to say it's not round and it's not flat. I'm going to ask the questions and then I'm going to give you some things to think about. We didn't go all the way in because we will be here till next fucking week. Because the rap it connects to this, it connects to that. We're just snowballing here. We're surface level, right? You guys got to go down the rabbit holes. And I don't mean you. I mean all you listeners. Everybody does.
Yeah.
You don't stop. You don't think you have the answer. Because I've done that before. I thought I found the answer and I'm like, oh shit, I know why we were here. I know who created us and why and what our purpose was. And then I stopped. And then I felt lost. And then I asked myself, wait a minute. You are literally being something you said that you shouldn't be. You're believing that this is the answer. No. You're contradicting yourself, homie. Go back out there. Because there's a bunch of stuff you have not seen. You figured out, you thought that, oh, this was the answer. Because it feels comfortable. It feels comforting that you figured it out and now you know. Mm-hmm. No, man, we are lost endlessly. We're going to continue to be lost. And I may never get the answers, but I'm going to keep asking the questions.